Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 6 of Bungo Stray Dogs, the conflict of strategy. And oh my gosh, I was nervous last episode going in being like, how are we gonna top that flashback of the Dark Age? But man, this series has just hit the ground running. And last episode we got introduced to more guild members, Lovecraft and Steinbeck, John S. I'm like, oh, I am all about this. I'm terrified of Lovecraft because if you know H.P. Lovecraft, his monsters are terrifying. And so that has me nervous. Steinbeck, his ability is very... We don't know their abilities yet. I think that Steinbeck's is like teleportation or something to do with that because he like transports people. But I don't know. And then Fitzgerald, the whole thing of the Great Gatsby, like he just took those bullets and threw them, made them explode. And I'm like, interesting. Very interesting. But there were lots of symbolic allegory, like talks about light and darkness last episode, and about how kind of sticking to your nature and do you do best in the environment that you're most suited for, and etc. So there's lots of philosophical discussions going on, but such a cool reveal with the guild members, and we got a three-way war going. It looks like the Port Mafia is going to be targeting the guild because Maury's just kind of sent assassins to kind of distract the agency by trying to kill the president, but they're after the guild. Maury is like, let's get the guild out of the way first. And the guild seems to be just taking them both on at the same time, and then the agency's like, okay, we need to like do a counter attack on both sides. So really the only one that seems to be laser focused towards the guild is the Port Mafia. So that's going to be interesting. And I'm very curious what all is going to get entailed with that. But it looks like the president can hold his own, so that's good. And then Kyoka is missing. And I don't know if the guild has Kyoka or if she's just MIA and on her own and gone rogue. I don't know. But I did a little bit of research. I wanted to research Ozaki Koyo, who Koyo is based off of from the last episode, the woman. And it's funny because just like Kyoka is based off a male author in Japan, Ozaki Koyo, whose real name is Osaki Tokutaru, is a man as well. So it's like funny that you both getting based off of male writers. And so Koyo was born in 1868 and lived until 1903, and then was only 35 when he died. Like some of these authors were really young when they passed, which is very, very sad. But Koyo was a pretty influential haiku writer and novelist who grew up in a part that is now part of Tokyo, and then was educated in the basin's primary school, attended Tokyo Fudanai Junior High, and then dropped out, and then went into the Mita English School, and then finally enrolled in the Tokyo Imperial University. And so Koyo had a lot of serialized works, one of the most famous ones being The Golden Demon, which is what the ability is based off of. And funny enough, his most notable pupils, one of them was Kyoka, which is who our Kyoka in this show is based off of, a romance author. And then an author, Tokudo Shusei. So, Tokudo Shusei, I'm wondering, since we have Kyoka as a character, I wonder if Shusei is going to be a character in this show as well. That'd be really interesting. So I'm curious to see if we have that. But basically, Golden Demon, as far as that goes, is based off of a novel, The Usurer, literally The Golden Demon, which was serialized in 1897. So about 8 years before this guy died. And it's widely considered his masterpiece, and the novel depicts the social cost of modernization when money wins over both man's affection and social responsibility. Which I think is a very, very cool tie to Koyo in this show, because Koyo is part of the Port Mafia and is an executive. And Maury has stated that the whole thing with the Mafia is currency. It's about making the money. It's like your affection doesn't matter. Your relationships don't matter. Social responsibility? Nuh-uh. You're in the Mafia. You're making us money, and this is how we do it. And if we have to use violence to get our currency, we'll do it. If we have to kill people to get our currency, we'll do it. So it kind of relates to Koyo telling Kyoka, like, you belong with us. And it's kind of like her trying to overstep and assert some affection there and social responsibility onto Kyoka, but in reality, Koyo is just very much attached to the Mafia and their whole mission. So I think that's very interesting. It's a nice tie-in to the character with the novel itself. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I like the tie to Kyoka. I'm interested if we see this Shusei character, if they pop up as a side character in this as well. That would be interesting. But yeah, fun times with old Koyo. So right now, Koyo has been interrogated by Dazai and given up some information, so that's interesting. But yeah, I'm real curious, y'all, where we're going with this. So far, season 2, I'm really hyped up about it and really excited. So yeah, so with that being said, we are ready to dive into episode 6 of the season, episode 18 total. So let's do this. Let's jump in to episode 6 here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Ooh, we're going head to head with the guild. Will of the Tycoon. Oh, this season has been so good so far. So good. And what I really like about it is that it's just this show I feel does really good. It's weird because usually in an anime or in a regular TV show, sometimes you can get too many characters and the show can get saturated and not know what to do with all of its characters, and so it just is like, I don't know what to do with all of them, and people get thrown to the wayside. But with this show, I feel like there's enough characters and they're all interacting in so many interesting ways that the show does a really good job of, like in this episode, we didn't get Dazai at all or Atsushi, but you didn't notice because there's too much stuff going on. And it all connects and ties into the plot of the story and in a very interesting way. So I really appreciate that. Like I didn't sit through this episode going, oh, where's Dazai? Where's Atsushi? No, we didn't even get Kyoka talked about this episode at all. So that's interesting. I want to go back through this. Mori gets just more and more interesting. I don't know. Mori I liked him from the start of this series, and he gets more and more intriguing. So 1 strike. And of course, he's not hitting the dartboard at all. 1 strike. It's necessary to hit the enemy's vital point in 1 strike. Meaning you've got 1 chance to take him down. And he's fixed the chairs where they're opposite each other. It's necessary to hit them. She's like, you suck! Alright. So she's drawing a lemon, right? And he takes one of her crayons. And he says, I'm going to write a letter to a friend. So, here's the thing. We talked about Elise last episode. And her drawing the lemons. It's almost like her and Mori are like telepathically linked. Like they're just thinking of the same thing at the same time, right? Which she was drawing the lemon for the bomb. And that connected to Mojiro. And then I think she drew like a kaiju the next time, like breathing fire. So that's interesting. I'm wondering if that ties to Lovecraft, because Lovecraft is all about monsters, right? Okay, I wanted to go back and see what was in the jar, the glass, Fitzgerald's glass. I wanted to see that because I know I'm going to be going over this OP a lot this season, but it's a giant whale. But okay, I wanted to see what was in the glass. It was a person's face upside down. Right? It's a person. Interesting. And then Hawthorne. Oh my gosh. And then so we have in the guild, we have a woman in the very back that I'm assuming is Louisa because we haven't seen her. And we have Lucy and Margaret and Nathaniel and John. We don't know the redhead's name. We have Lovecraft. And then we have this older man that we don't know his name either. And then we have our members of the Port Mafia, which we've pretty much met everybody in the Port Mafia that's shown now that we have Kyoyo. Unless there's executives we don't know about. And, Octagawa. But yeah, so, oh my gosh, Margaret, Gone with the Wind, and Hawthorne, the Scarlet Letter. Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And it makes so much sense with Nathaniel that he's the priest, because talking about like Scarlet Letter and like the morality and it's kind of like self-righteousness in a lot of ways, like having them wear the Scarlet Letter if they've sinned. And then Gone with the Wind, like she Margaret's character seems very much like Scarlett O'Hara in just her being like just needy and kind of like, this is just, what are we doing? Like just so like diva-ish. But it looks like his power is like blood manipulation, which is awesome. I love it. And then hers is being able to disintegrate and decay things, like using the wind almost, like weathering it away. Like that's so, so cool. I love it. But yeah, so the Port Mafia, their plan, and I love that he wrote it in crayon. Like what a Maury, you devious man. Dear sir and madam, I hope this letter finds you in the best of health. Oh my god. And I love, she's like, Rintaro, you jerk, you idiot. Like she's so mad he took her crayon. I write regarding recent military conflict. While it may sound presumptuous, I wish to inform you of the guild assets it will be next to obliterate. It's like, Maury, you're such a troll. But like, doing the chess move and saying I'm going to blow up the Zelda. And I love that Fitzgerald's ship is called the Zelda. Like, that's such a cool reference to his wife's name. That's awesome. And then sending Octagawa to kill the two of them. The strategy of conflict. Motojiro is insane. I love him, but he's insane. And I love that it's like Sosuke's voice actor playing him from Free. What the heck? I never would have guessed. He's like, and I love that they say, oh, well, you failed on the train. He's like, every failure, it was an experiment. Every failure is a valuable sample. I love that. She's like, shall I make a mummy out of him? Which is terrifying that her power could do that. And so we have Hawthorne. They really underestimate Motojiro. And I love that his ability is expanded upon. The bombs don't affect him. That makes so much more sense, because on the train, I was like, how did he survive those bombs? Like, come on. But of course, his own power doesn't affect him. That's cool. You're saying you hear the voice of God. Science is the only language that allows us to understand this universe that God created. Oh, that line, I love it. I love that a lot. Like, just calling out his self-righteousness. And, oh, it's so good. I have bad news for you. Oh my gosh, it's the job of a clergyman to believe, but it's the very foundation of science is to question everything. So we're total in moral opposition, you and I. You just want to have total faith and I want to question everything. And so yeah, of course, the bombs don't affect him. And he just goes crazy. And my thing is, Fitzgerald's going to be so mad when he sees that his ship is blown up. Like, oh my god. And that it's the Port Mafia. And so then I really like... And then Margaret's like, oh my god, the ship. Not the ship. And so then we cut back to Maury and Elise, and she's drawing a new drawing instead of the lemons. And this drawing that she's doing is like of this Godzilla-looking thing on the paper. And I want to get to that part, because they're still talking here. I want to get to that part of the episode, because Maury's playing chess. And anytime a villainous character is playing chess, it's probably important. It's what our enemy will think. And yeah, and here's the thing, like, her drawing has expanded beyond the paper. It's like off the edges. But it's the kaiju attacking them and destroying the city. Even our elite would have difficult time in bringing them down. And so he takes, which is why, and he puts the rook next to the bishop and the queen, which is why I've just played my most eager, motivated piece. Like, Maury knows that Octagawa is Octagawa is not going to lose, because Octagawa wants to succeed, because he's got an agenda, and Maury knows this. Maury's like, you're motivated because of Dazai. And I'm curious to know what's the one word. Octagawa says he needs one word from Dazai, and I'm so curious what that one word is. Don't tell me, don't spoil me. But Octagawa, dude, I can't believe I'm actually like, usually Octagawa as the antagonist, I'm like, I love to hate him, but in this I was really rooting for him. I was like, I don't want you to get hurt, Octagawa. And a bit like I've had a run-in with the devil spoken of in the Bible. And he says, what's your name? He's like, Diablo. And it's like, oh, Octagawa! Trying to be badass. But then, yeah, so Nathaniel and Octagawa's abilities are quite similar. They have offensive and defensive capabilities and barriers, except obviously Nathaniel's is with his blood and Octagawa's with his coat. But I like that we're getting into characters who, similar like Oda and Jeed, have similar abilities, and what do you do when that happens? So that is interesting. And then, yeah, he's been honing Rashomon to, like, bite his clothes and everything. You're no devil at all. And he says that guy says, you're just a lowly beast that's trying to bite the weak. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. And then Margaret makes the mistake of saying, you don't know anything about defeat and humiliation. It's like, oh, hun, yeah, that's all Octagawa's known his whole life. You don't know the level of Notice Me Senpai that Octagawa has inside of him. It's like, girl, you just goofed. You done fuzzed up. But yeah, so then Octagawa was doing real good, and then his sickness acts up. And God, that show makes him look so in pain. And he's like, not now. And Nathaniel's like, that wasn't me. So is he wounded in fighting us? Which it could be the wounds from when he faced Atsushi, and it could be his disease. It could be both. But either way, it's not good. Our poor Octagawa looks quite frail in that moment. And it's like, my only hope is for one word. Yeah, I want to know what that one word is, dude. And so, it looks like, did Margaret and Nathaniel just both get one-shotted? It looks like it. I'm like, which is fine. I guess if they're dead, they're dead. But I'm like, they had cool abilities, but okay. But it looks like he got away. And the ship sank, so... And he went back to that thing about Atsushi telling him people need to be told they're worthy of being alive by someone else or they can't go on. Like, people need to be affirmed their worthiness. And he's like, those words. Octagawa says, I don't need you to tell me, I already know. It's what he's going for. He needs Dazai to give him an opinion of self-worth. And he'll, consider that good enough. So meanwhile, while Mori's playing chess, Rampo's over here playing shogi. And Kenji's looking at a damn plant. But Chuya... Oh, I will say, Rampo being serious this episode was really cool. Like, I like seeing, because Rampo, up until this point, has been really happy-go-lucky and been like, I don't want to solve the case. Why should I? And been kind of childish. But in this episode, he gets really serious. And I didn't realize how green Rampo's eyes were. Like, they're very pretty in contrast. But his character getting serious, I really like this. And then we cut back to Mori saying attacking enemy bases always makes my heart dance with joy. It's time for the next move. So, yeah. Mori is just orchestrating this whole thing. Or Mori is treating it like a game. Like it's game theory. Like, he's like, this is how we're going to do it. We're not only going to take out the guild, but we're not going to even do it ourselves. We're going to send the agency to go do it. And if the president dies, then that's a win for us too. So Mori is so calculating, and I am curious to know what Dazai's counter attack is going to be against him. That's really, really interesting to me. But they send old Chuya to do the job. The one-man army. And, okay, so we cut to the one girl, Mi-chan. As soon as this whole mess is over, I'll come for you, okay? And it's this cat, but it looked like Sensei. Like, the cat looked like Sensei, Dazai's cat. So, I'm super curious. I don't think it's the same cat. I think it's just hers. She just happens to have a calico. Huh. And then, then they see the report about Fitzgerald's ship, which is, interesting. So these girls are just hanging out in this hideout, unbeknowingly being stalked by Lovecraft and John S. And it's like, oh my god. So yeah, Chuya shows up, and Gravity manipulation is a super, super cool ability and highly useful. So yeah, Chuya's powers, and Rampo knows how serious this is, because when Rampo gets serious, you know it's serious. So they send Kenji and Yasano to go and test everything out. And then Lovecraft and Steinbeck being sent. And Chuya, I'm sorry, but Chuya's voice actor is really good. He's really good. He hams up certain lines, like he gives me a very Mamoru vibe, like Dazai. Gives me a Mamoru vibe in that the way he says certain lines, I don't know if it's his accent. I don't know Japanese regional dialects. Like I know when Mamoru does Atsumomiya for Haikyuu, he does a Kansai Ben dialect, and you can tell that it's articulated differently. But something about Chuya and listening to Trash Candy makes me think the same thing. Like the way he says words, he has a certain dialect, and I don't know what it is. So if y'all know below, feel free to comment and tell me. But and then Chuya, it would make sense that a master martial artist also has the ability to do this gravity manipulation. I like that Kenji's just like, oh, you're strong. It's like, God, Kenji, I freaking love you. But yeah, he like just beats him over there. And yeah, gravity, so he like sticks to the ceiling through gravity manipulation. Which means, and Kenji's like starstruck. He's like, oh my God, his hat's not falling off. City folk are amazing. And then he can either make himself light as a feather, or he can make himself heavy as like a 2-ton truck, because he like just shatters the ground around him. But here's the thing, and he can make stuff stick to him. So that's interesting. That I'm gonna be curious how that's applied. Indeed. So Chuya is really not there to fight them at all. He's just there to lay the chess pieces out, to be like, oh hey, I really actually came here to tell you that, look, you can either fight these guild members, which you probably don't want to do, or I've already lured the guild members to some of your people, and they took the bait. So it's a win-win for everybody. Which, what a smart move. Like, you baited both sides, and just hoping one win. And once one took the bait, it was attacking the other side, and so of course, now the other side has to act. It's like, I love that. That's so awesome. That's so, so cool. The bait was too appetizing. And Chuya with that big smirky, crap-eating grin on his face, he's like, I know. So Lovecraft and John S. John S. reminds me a lot of Kenji. He has a lot of the same mannerisms, but Lovecraft is just creepy. He's just so lumbersome. He's like, do we have to go? Like, but he creeps me out. Like that whole thing in the OP where he like cricks his neck. I'm like, not having it at all. And so they decide that they're going to send Kunikita and Tanizaki to go save him. So, of course, I thought Tanizaki was the one like wheeling out of there real fast, but it was Kunikita. So that is interesting. And then this ED, all Octagao wants is your love, Dazai. Why can't he have that? I've heard some of you ask if I'm going to read Beast, and Beast sounds super cool, the alternate universe where it's switched. When we get done with all 3 seasons in the movie, yeah, I might consider reading Beast and doing like a reaction or review to it. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if I'm going to do Bungo Stray Dogs 1 yet. I'm still thinking about that one because it's a chibi series. It depends on how long the episodes are. I need to research that. But yeah, definitely watching the movie, and would probably read Beast because Beast sounds freaking cool. But yeah, this episode was really good. So far this season, I'm loving this 3-way battle between everybody, and that we're slowly getting introduced to members of the guild. Like, we're getting the Port Mafia involved. Like, it's all very, very, very interesting, and I am kind of all here for it. So, yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you guys thought. Please, no spoilers, but let me know what y'all thought of the episode. And then, yeah, next week, we're going to find out. I'm assuming that maybe we'll get confirmation of Steinbeck and Lovecraft's abilities. Maybe. We shall see, I guess. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you all again next week with episode 7? Yeah, right? episode 7 of Bungo Straight Hogs. Bye.